Kevin Tracker ought to most likely effectively keep Sharina from leaving him after he just lost the body of evidence he recorded against Wendy Williams. The adjudicator's choice was agreeable to Wendy, and that implies that Kevin and Sharina's lavish way of life is now being compromised on the grounds that come on. All that they presently have is all because of Wendy. They endure such a long time in view of the provision that Wendy is giving them. Yet presently, with the after effect of the case, things would begin to get extremely flimsy among Kevin and Sharina, without a doubt. Whenever Kevin and Wendy were still attached, fans have previously brought up that Kevin may very well be after Wendy's cash for that reason he was remaining with her. However, they were basically on the right track. They even called him names, saying that he is only a gold digger who is attempting to assume praise for Wendy's distinction and achievement. In any case, Wendy got the cash, and Kevin doesn't have anything without her. Notwithstanding Wendy's riches, Sharina wouldn't actually attempt to accompany him and settle as an escort. I bet that I am not by any means the only one who feels that right. Sharina even constrained Kevin before to separate from Wendy. Obviously, Kevin couldn't do that, realizing that he will not be anything without her. He would immediately become broke assuming he did that. Sharina probably acknowledged in the end that Kevin wouldn't have the option to ruin her the manner in which he did, notwithstanding Wendy's cash, so she remained as his courtesan, and their issue went on for over a decade. In vision, Wendy sat up with such an extremely long time, realizing that Kevin was going behind her back with Sharina. That'd probably been a ton, however, obviously. She just stayed silent while the issue was continuing, yet she unquestionably uncovered a ton about them when she chose to separate from Kevin. Wendy even uncovered that Sharina was not the primary young lady that Kevin cheated with. What's more, now that she is done giving provision to Kevin, it appears as though Kevin is now agonizing over how he can keep on supporting Sharina's luxurious way of life, since, in such a case that he wouldn't have the option to accommodate her, she will come taking off from him somehow. Realizing that he gave all that Sharina needs in any event, when he was as yet hitched to Wendy, made her used to getting all that she needs from Kevin, despite the fact that obviously they wouldn't have the option to have any of that, notwithstanding Wendy in any case. Individuals are in any event hypothesizing that Sharina was behind Kevin's choice to document the body of evidence against Wendy with respect to the provision. Recall when Kevin purchased Sharina a house. I bet that you have caught wind of this, since Wendy even discussed it when she left Kevin. She uncovered Kevin and said that the house he purchased for Sharina was a couple of miles from the house where she and Kevin used to reside. Obviously, he wouldn't have the option to purchase that with his own cash. Besides the fact that he purchased Sharina a house when he was still attached with Wendy, yet he likewise put resources into her business. He likewise selected her to be a back rub specialist. Yet none of the organizations that she began became fruitful. So rather than finding more open doors or searching for a decent work, both her and Kevin just chose to keep siphoning off of Wendy. Sharina probably praised a ton when Wendy chose to separate from Kevin, and afterward their separation settlement, understanding, expected Wendy to give Kevin support. Well, in the event that Kevin got cash, that would imply that Sharina would have as well. Yet, before we get further into the video, to find out about what might befall Kevin and Sharina, then ensure that you buy into our feed immediately. I will constantly let you in on the absolute most zesty and succulent stuff about these individuals. Presently returning to our video, it is clear to such an extent that Kevin was truly into Sharina to be in that undertaking for such a long time, and afterward proceed with their relationship after he got separated from Wendy. Individuals conceivably wouldn't abhor them and their relationship, so much assuming that they let Wendy be. In any case, since the separation, Kevin generally made it a highlight remember her for all the show. He would have these meetings and will constantly incorporate Wendy's name and attempt to say that he was behind her prosperity when everyone realizes that it isn't correct. Furthermore, Sharina, being the escort and the person who had a colossal impact in the run-in of Wendy's marriage, have tossed conceals on Wendy on her Instagram account after Wendy uncovered the two of them. Come on, they ought to have realized that it was coming thinking about that they did Wendy exceptionally grimy. Obviously, she was distraught and harmed when she figured out that Sharina was pregnant. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for her. Nothing was holding her back furthermore. She could express what she might be thinking and discuss her sentiments about what happened on the grounds that she was associated with that relationship. Perhaps in the event that they didn't undermine her, she couldn't uncover them. Many have likewise been expressing this for some time now, that Kevin and Sharina ought to simply get a new line of work as opposed to depending on Wendy for monetary help. On the off chance that it was not as clear previously, then at that point, presently it is completely clear that they need to blackmail additional cash from Wendy as a result of that body of evidence that Kevin recorded against Wendy. When it's all said and done, they had the option to benefit such a huge amount from the provision that Wendy gave Kevin in the previous months that they didn't want to track down one more kind of revenue to help their new family. Wendy even talked how she was dependably on time in sending them the month-to-month provision pay. Yet now that Wendy found a proviso in their understanding, she would unquestionably use what is happening to at long last move away from both Kevin and Sharina for good. Assuming that Sharina at any point leaves Kevin, do you all figure he could quit pushing this case to get additional cash from Wendy? I couldn't want anything more than to understand, so remark your viewpoints down beneath. That is to say, assuming we are from Wendy's perspective, we absolutely believe nothing should do with our ex and his paramour. To imagine that Kevin made this large number of cases about his ongoing circumstance, since Wendy was done sending him support, is so funny. He even attempted to make himself look broke and go about as though he is in a truly desperate circumstance. Individuals nearly accepted him until he chose to recruit these new high-esteem legal counselors. For the situation that he documented, he blamed Wendy for penetrating their agreement. He guaranteed Cap in view of that he was at that point behind on the greater part of his bills, and that he will before long lose his home if this proceeds. He couldn't in fact pay for a vehicle protection, and that he needed to go through a medical procedure, however wouldn't have the option to do all that without Wendy's cash. Some of you may be confounded assuming that Wendy is even permitted to simply unexpectedly quit sending cash to Kevin. Also, on the off chance that she can do that, why did she not audit sooner? All things considered, it was expressed in the archive that they had marked that on the off chance that Wendy's agreement with the show is dropped or not recharged, Kevin concurs that the severance pay is dependent upon alteration or even end. So to stop the story, that indeed,